Welcome to the Cookbook, where we invite guests on to share the ingredients of what has helped make them the successes that they are. All of it, the good, the not so good. You're not going to find anything half-baked here. And our kitchen gets messy sometimes. That's when the fun starts. So come on and join us. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Cookbook. I'm Iris Goldfeder, your host, and today I'm super excited about our guest, and I'm really excited today because we tried this once before and we had massive technological issues like all the way through the interview, and it sucked because we literally got to the end and it was like, we need to do this again. But we're doing it again, and I'm so excited because Liz is, besides being like an amazing entrepreneur, she's an amazing person, and she's becoming a good friend. So I'm going to read Liz's bio and then bring her on. So in her past life, Liz Landeen worked in a leadership level position within a national nonprofit organization managing millions of dollars in projects. After 12 years, she realized she needed to turn her strengths and passion for organization, productivity, strategy, time management, and making shit happen. And that's why she's my kind of girl, because we make shit happen, into her own business. Liz officially left the 9-to-5 nest in 2020 and went full-time as a business strategy and action coach. Liz is also the host of the Outdoor Entrepreneur podcast, co-author of the book Becoming an Unstoppable Woman, and founder of the Elevated Entrepreneur Collective. And I have quite a few friends in there, and it's phenomenal. A community for women. The Entrepreneur Collective is a community for women in the first years of entrepreneurship, and it helps them build a business that they love and also helps them make money. So without further ado, let's meet Liz.
Hello. I'm so excited.
I know, part two, right?
Part two.
Part two. So your Elevated Entrepreneur community is so, it's so cool. Because, I know, a few people in there and they have nothing but good things to say. And you're doing great work with it. So, yeah. And your story is really cool. So do we want to talk about the Elevated Entrepreneur first? Do we want to talk about the post that you just did the other day? Well, I guess we could talk about that later because that'll kind of go into the struggle let let's learn more about you, because I know, but the audience doesn't.
Yeah. So. Well, I guess let me tell a little bit about myself and my story and how I got to where I am. So as you mentioned previously, I worked for a national nonprofit organization for many years, and it was a great job. It was stable. It paid the bills. I learned so much while I was there. I liked the people I worked with, all of that. But at the end of the day, I knew that it wasn't what I wanted to do long term. I knew that I really wanted to work for myself. I really wanted to be able to create kind of my own schedule and really have this life by design. And so in 2018, I decided to start getting some clarity around that. And then in 2019, I really sat down. That's when I got real serious about it and said, all right, I've got to start making some changes here and get out of my comfort zone. So I set some goals, got really clear. What is it I want to do? All of that. And then I set some goals, and then I outlined a plan on how to make it happen. So I used a lot of what I was doing in my 9-to-5 to make it happen. But I basically took the whole year. I said, I'm going to give myself 1 year, and I worked the hell out of that plan for 12 months. And then I was able to 12 months later exit out of my 9-to-5 and go full-time into building my own business as a business strategy and action coach. And I haven't really looked back. It's not easy. I didn't have everything figured out. It can be messy at times and really scary, but so worth it.
Right. And that's the cool part, right? Because even though it's scary, we still do it.
Yeah.
And so I think that I guess that kind of leads into your post. But So normally I say, why did you decide to become an entrepreneur? But you just pretty much laid it out. You have the passion for helping people. You wanted to get out of what you were doing. And I think we all at some point, right, kind of go, are we helping people as much as we can working for this business as we could if we were doing it ourselves? And you help so many people.
Yeah. I mean, for me, there were a number of things. I mean, part of it was I really wanted to be able to, again, kind of create my own schedule and do the things I enjoy doing, do the things that I'm good at, and really focus on that. I loved working for a nonprofit, but you only make so much money in a nonprofit. You're really capped. And so I just really didn't see like this huge future in it for me. And I really wanted to be able to work one-on-one with people or in group settings, but be able to contribute from a much kind of deeper place within me, and on my own terms, right? That was really what it was about, was like, oh, I want to build my business the way I want to build it. That feels good to me. That's aligned with who I am, where I can really be myself and help other people to do that too. So there were a number of reasons why I wanted to get into entrepreneurship, but it's been a roller coaster ride, and I wouldn't change a thing.
And so when we first met, you were doing She Connects Worldwide.
Connects, yeah.
Okay,
yep.
And it was interesting because I love the women-based companies, and because I feel that. I'm not going to get political, but we are so unempowered, right? That when we empower ourselves, and when we empower ourselves within a community of women, holy shit. I mean, the energy and the community and the support is phenomenal. And when you started that, I was like, oh, I got to be a part of that. And I was with my other company, and I wasn't as active as I could have been because I really wasn't sure kind of what I was doing, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So I didn't want to join half-assed. Yeah. So I joined, and then you changed it, which was good because I was like, okay, good. So that kind of works. But your elevated entrepreneur community is such a strong, connected community. They everybody truly loves each other. Yeah. They love you, and they love each other, and they love working together, and they love the fact that it's like almost like a what is that? Like a commune, like where you have like different experts speak. So do you want to talk about that and explain what that is?
Yes. Thank you. It's a big love fest in there. So I like to say, it's a membership, but it's more than a membership right now. We're really, I feel like, changing things. It's more of a movement, and it's a new way, I feel like, of doing entrepreneurship. And that's really supporting all of us, like all of what we are as an entrepreneur, because we are our business. So that's brain, body, and business, right? It's all of the things that make up having our own business. And so that means business strategy and social media and all that stuff. It means mindset and mindfulness. It means having a healthy body and healthy lifestyle and healthy habits and all of that stuff. So we cover all those things, but probably even more than that is really the community aspect of it. So really kind of getting rid of this old model of feeling like we have to do everything on our own as an entrepreneur, as a solopreneur, right? We have to do it all by ourselves, and you just don't have to. You really don't have to. And it's really better if you don't. And so we're creating a community that allows women to come together and be able to really have each other's back, like genuinely build relationships and solid connections, so that we can all support each other, however that looks. It may look different on different days. There may be days where some of us show up and we're feeling awesome and let's celebrate our wins. And then there's other days where we're feeling crappy and we don't want to do anything. And whatever it might be, we're having just a shitty day. We show up anyways, and we're there for each other. And so it's great to see the women in the community have each other's back, show up for each other. And that allows for just very organic friendships and also, business to happen as well, because we want to work with people we know, like, and trust. And so it's great networking opportunities as well. So it's a really phenomenal community we're building, and I'm really just honored to be a part of it and honored to be able to work with people in this capacity, in this kind of a container. Is really cool.
Yeah. And, you say working with people that we know, like, and trust. And I think I just did a video on that, and I really have to get back into doing. I've been like, so, with drama going on with Skylar and then losing Gizmo, I just haven't been doing anything, which is like terrible. So I have to get back out there. But, talking about, and I was just talking about this with Scott, who actually he's featured this week on the podcast, Scott Span. He's an executive coach, and we both have ADHD, which is hilarious. It's a funny episode because we're both like ding, ding, ding. But, one of the things that we always talk about is, people want to work with people that they know, like, and trust. You don't want to work with somebody that you don't know or that you don't trust, right? Because you're giving people your business, you're giving people a part of you. And if you don't trust that person, I mean, what are you doing, right? You really need to, and I don't work with people that I don't know, like, or trust. Like, I won't take them as a client. So I think it's kind of, twofold. I think it's, people think that, well, it's just, as the client, I'm choosing you. But not necessarily, because as the company, I'm choosing you too. And I've had a couple of people that I didn't know and I worked with, and it ended up a disaster. So now I really get to know somebody and make sure that our values align and that our mission aligns, and that, I can help them the way that they need to be helped, and they're a good fit. Yeah. And, and a lot of companies don't do that. They're just like, okay, we're just going to take anybody. And in the long run, I think it ends up hurting than helping.
Yeah. Yeah. Agree.
So, okay. So you're outdoor entrepreneur, which I think is so cool, because I am so, not outdoor. Okay, let me rephrase this. I used to be very outdoorsy, but my wife's idea of camping is like, the Hilton in the middle of a forest.
Got it.
And at my age, I would glamp. I would totally glamp, or camp with like a really good air mattress. But and I kind of miss that, but I'm definitely not as outdoorsy as, I used to be. So you're doing like all the things, like you're in your trailer and you're, driving to mountains and deserts and all this stuff. So let's talk, because I think that's so cool, because you work, like I always say, I can work from anywhere, but you really work from like anywhere. So,
well, I'm trying to figure it out. So I don't have it all worked out yet by any means, but I'm trying to. So yeah, I have a podcast called The Outdoor Entrepreneur, and it's for the entrepreneurial minded outdoor enthusiast. Although it's really, if you're just into the outdoors, it's great. And if you're more just an entrepreneur and not into the outdoors, it's still super helpful. So I basically interview people from around the world who have found a way to create a life of their dreams, incorporating things that they really enjoy doing in the outdoor space. So it's great to just hear kind of, I don't want to call them the everyday person, but I'm not interviewing like all the millionaires out there. It's like people who are really just living their life and they're making an income, right? They have money coming in, they're they're thriving in their own way, and they're doing things they really love doing, and they're, they have a career out of it. So I love kind of just showing the real world examples of all the different ways this can be done, right? It's not cookie cutter. There's so many things you can do. There's so many ways you can turn your passion into a career. And so that's what I'm doing through the podcast. And then I'm just trying to live my own life, like, doing things I love doing, and that's spending time outdoors and traveling. And so I have a converted truck. I have a Toyota Tacoma, and the bed is converted, and it has.
You hear that, Toyota? I'm just going to throw that out there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It has really cute lights, and I am not toughing it. I'm not roughing it. I'm not out there in a tent. I have like a memory foam mattress. Like, I'm very comfortable. Lots of pillows, candles. I have it all.
So there's that show Van Gogh. Have you seen the show Van Gogh? It's like this. I think he converts. And I just watched like one episode of it. And actually my friends are doing it because they're traveling cross country in this like Mercedes van that they bought, and they're converting the inside. But Van Gogh is, they take the van and they convert it into like a mobile whatever. So there's like a bed in it, there's like a little kitchen in it, and so
that's awesome. So I have my little truck, and it works for now. I'm not in it full time. It's very part-time when I feel like hitting the road. And I'm trying to find a good mix between, work and play and life, right? So like, not just saying, okay, every time I hit the road, I'm not going to work and I'm only going to play, because that's not, I can't do that. So finding that good kind of in between space. For instance, in 2 weeks, I'm going up to Idaho for maybe a week and a half or two. And as I'm driving up there, it's a 10-hour drive. I have a mastermind group. We do co-working, and I already know, I'm like, okay, I'm going to find a coffee shop somewhere along the way so I can stop and I can do co-working with the ladies, and then I'll hit the road again. So it's finding a little bit of a balance of working while I'm also out there living my life and playing. And then obviously just also having some time just off is nice too. And I make sure I do that. So yeah, it's just finding how to make that all work. And it's kind of newer to me to really be doing this more consistently than I have in the past. So still figuring it out, but it's fun.
That's really awesome. And, Molly McLaughlin, right? She's like a nomad, her and I'm going to forget his name, Blake, travel from wherever and work from wherever, which, what you're doing kind of reminds me of that, but you're doing it in a little bit different way. And I love the way that you like incorporate, or the way that you're trying to incorporate what you love into your business, because then that helps you show up even more authentically, right? Because now, you're doing your work stuff, but you're also doing what you love, and you can bring that into what you do. And I think that's really important for you, because it enhances your experience as an entrepreneur, and it allows you to do what you love. And a lot of people, we're entrepreneurs, and we're like, we're going to Hawaii in November, and I'm like, man, I said to Kofi, should we do a podcast from the beach? Like, how cool would that be, right? But then it's like, am I going to schlep because I really don't want to work when I'm there, but I know I'm going to, because I'm insane. Heather was also like, no, you're not working. And I'm like, just one podcast, that could be like so cool. So that's remained, to be seen. But, so are there other people that are in your group or that you're working with that have that same spirit, that want to do the, outdoor entrepreneurship, and they want to be able to, travel and work and do all that?
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be just, in the outdoor space, but a lot of people I know, and some of them that I work with, they just want to have the option. They want to have the ability to be able to say, okay, I'm going to go for a week on vacation, or I'm going to take this trip for a couple weeks or a month or whatever it is. And I can work while I'm there if I need to. And so, I think just whatever it is, whether that's in the outdoor space or not, like maybe you just want to go sit on a beach, or maybe you want to go sit in a resort, right? That's all fine. Nice. Right? A nice hotel or spa or whatever, like awesome. It's just knowing that you can do it. Like it may look different for you than what I'm doing. It will look different. But if that's what you want, then how do we make that happen? And just kind of being committed to figuring that out so that you can, really, again, create this life by design for yourself. And that's even to be said for people that maybe have a 9-to-5 job, like there's still things they maybe want to be doing and they feel like they can't, or they're not sure how to make it all work or how to schedule it and all of that. So just kind of giving people a way to get some clarity around how to make that all work, and then how to organize it and schedule it, and all of that is, I love working with people on that stuff.
See, I think the thing too, as like, working 9 to, I'm going to start singing, working 9 to 5. Sorry. But, I know, right? But a lot of that is remote now. Yeah. So they can, right? They can be at a resort, and who's, like, as long as the work gets done. A lot of the people that I work with, I mean, we don't have a brick and mortar, all of my team are remote. I don't care if they're in Bali, as long as they get the work done, who cares? So I think that's really cool that is now an option. Mm-hmm. And that's something that, you can offer those people. Have you reached out to 9-to-5ers, or have you mainly been dealing with entrepreneurs?
Mostly entrepreneurs. Yep. Yeah. People that are either wanting to start a business. So maybe they have a 9-to-5. They're currently working a 9-to-5, but their goal is to start a business. Their goal is to be able to exit out in time. Maybe it doesn't have to be anything drastic. They don't have to like jump ship right away, but they want to. And so they're aspiring entrepreneurs, or those that have their own business. They've been doing it for a little while, but they're looking for some more just kind of clarity on how to be able to do all the things that they have to do and make it work with the lifestyle that they want.
Right. And that was one of the questions I was going to ask, was what advice do you have for somebody who's, because I usually ask, why'd you leave corporate? We already know. Do you miss it? We already know. So, somebody who's thinking about being, becoming an entrepreneur, especially if they want to be an outdoor entrepreneur. Yeah. What advice do you have for them?
Yeah, well, I always like to recommend that if you have a full-time job right now, and it's stable, like what I just said, don't just leave your job. I can tell you, I wanted to leave my job way before I left my job. And there were so many times in that year that I was planning and I was working my plan and all of that I was ready to like hand in the 2-week notice. But I really like to reframe, having that stability, that job, as like just that, like it's your stability for now, and it allows you to invest in your business and do that from a place that is like, okay, everything's all right, the bills are getting paid, you're not frantic, you're not stressed, you're not fearful that you can't pay your bills. So just be okay with where you're at, and then just start making a couple of moves. Doesn't have to be anything dramatic, but get clear on what is it you want to do? What are some of the things you're good at? What do you enjoy doing, right? What are the things that light you up? Those kinds of questions. And then just set a couple of goals. It can be big goals, space them out however it needs to be, or they can be just smaller steps to say, I'm going to start moving forward. Just baby steps is fine, but I'm going to take some steps to start moving me towards whatever it is I want to be doing, or wherever it is I want to be, and then work it. You got to work it. You got to do the things that you say you're going to do. and know that it is, as I said before, know that you're going to get those moments that come up where you are going to doubt everything. It's, I can't do this. What if I fail? Right? All of those questions are going to come.
Imposter syndrome, right?
They're just, it's inevitable. Yeah. Just accept it and allow it and keep doing what you're doing. And then I guess the other thing I would just say real quick, for somebody who's thinking about it, or even if you have a business and you're feeling overwhelmed by like, how do I even start doing whatever it is? I always recommend people to do a mind sweep or a brain dump, whatever you want to call it. But just get all the thoughts and ideas that you have out of your head, like in your head, out. Just start there, because I know that so many people I work with, that's the overwhelming part, is we're trying to keep it all in our head, and it gets super overwhelming. We start feeling really scattered, and then we don't want to do anything. So just like get all the thoughts out on a piece of paper, write them down, type them up, and then you can organize them and see like, oh, okay, these are things that I actually, like, here's a theme I see emerging, and this is something I actually want to work on, or here's all these other thoughts, but these are like 5 years down the road. These are 10 years down the road. Let me put these on the back burner. I don't have to worry about them. So it helps you to just kind of organize all the thoughts really quickly, really easily, in a simple way. And then you can kind of see things for what it is. And okay, now let me work on a couple of things to move this forward. So do a brain dump or a mind sweep. I work on all my clients. That's the first thing we do.
That's awesome. Now, what about somebody who may not have a choice? Like, let's say they just like, either they resigned because of the Great Resignation, or they were, they're unemployed, not by choice, and they're thinking of starting their own thing.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it doesn't have to be overly complicated. And if they want to start their own business, I think that's the key question. So yes, I want to start my own business. I just lost my job, or I just left my job. Honestly, my next question would be, do you need another job? Like, it's okay. These are just stepping stones, right? So if you were to go get another 9-to-5 for the next 6 months or the next year, just so that you can have your bills paid and you can feel okay about things and you can really get intentional about your business, then go get a job if you can, right? Most people, if they've left a job, like, you're employable, and I know it can be a little tricky finding stuff. I just was talking with somebody the other day about this, and she's really unhappy with the work she's doing in her job. But again, it can just be a reframe for a little bit. And I think for some of us, we feel like we're going to be stuck there forever. And if you know that you've got a plan in place and that you're working towards that plan, it makes everything so much more palatable. Like, you can go to that job maybe you don't love and say, okay, but I've got a plan in place and I'm working towards it, and I can see myself getting closer and closer to it. Right. And I'm being really intentional about this. So just think about them as stepping stones and just on the road to something else, on the road to something better for you. And then if you're like, listen, because I know people like this. I am not this, but I know people that are like, I need the pressure and I'm going to be all in. Like, I left my job. I'm ready to start my own business and it is going to be awesome. I'm ready to go all in. Then if that's how you need to do it, then do it, right? Again, it's the same steps. Get clear on what it is, right? Map it out, work your plan, do the things you need to do. Yeah. Be really committed to the process. Yeah.
Wow. And it's funny because when I started Gas Stove, it was out of necessity. And I had an idea on, I kind of had an idea on what it looked like. But, the funny part of it was when I decided that I was going to start it, and it was like we were going to do websites and SEO and whatever, and people heard that I was starting my own thing. They were like, yeah, we want to work with you. So, in the first, I think 6 months, we like it got to the point that it was our bandwidth couldn't handle everything that was coming in. And then I ended up having to have shoulder surgery that January, which knocked me out for a month. Like literally I was like on massive drugs and I couldn't move. And my wife was taking my phone and computer away because I was giving shit away, going, yeah, you can have this. She's like, you're on too many drugs. Don't talk to people. But then my pipeline disappeared. So where I went from having this abundance, and we had our, monthly revenue coming in, but nothing was in the pipeline. And I was like, holy crap, am I going to have to like get a job? And then I was like, I can't work for anybody again. I have to figure this shit out like now. So I figured it out and I went out and, my like high ass at the end of like January was like, okay, I have to like wean off these pills because I was on some serious painkillers. And I, weaned off. I started reaching out to people and then it just kind of, built again. But it was for a while there for about a 6-month period. It was scary because I was like, shit, I don't know where my next client is coming from. And locally where I live, the people who like me love me. The people who don't at all. And, it's fine, whatever. But so it was like I had a limited pool that I could, reach into for clients. But then that worked out and, but for 6 months, it was like, oh my God. And then, my wife got a promotion. So it was funny because we were like, oh my God, I need these clients because I have to contribute to the household. Well, then she got her promotion and then we started getting clients again. And I was like, what is this, like feast or famine kind of thing? And that's really what it was. And then it was okay. And then, I ended that partnership and then got into another partnership that just recently ended. And now I'm back doing, my own thing. And my reputation that I've built over the years is what's building because people know, like, and trust me. And I'm going to, because this is spam. Sorry. They always do this in the middle of this thing. But because people know, like, and trust me, they've seen my video, they see that and they're like, oh, she knows her shit. She this. Yeah. And then they want to meet, via, LinkedIn. So then we do a Zoom call and then we see, hey, it's a good fit and let's work together. But that's the other thing, COVID. Oh my God, that happened and everything went virtual. So how did that affect you?
Yeah, well, I officially left my 9-to-5 at the very end of 2019.
Cool.
so
good timing.
Yeah, well, and actually it kind of was because my business was online, right? So part of it was, so I was doing She Connects, which was local in Las Vegas. And then also I had kind of a chapter I ran out of Los Angeles. So I would drive there once a month and hold these She Connects meetings. And so that all had to go online, which was actually kind of good. And then everybody went online, right? So for a lot of people that were in the online space and doing online coaching, was not a negative, right? That didn't negatively impact our businesses. And so it really forced me to just make sure everything was online, right? Like I had my Zoom salad and like everything was really dialed in from an online standpoint. So my first year was really good. It was really great. And again, a lot of it was word of mouth and just from people I had met. And then it started to shift as things went more online into like, oh, okay, this is a friend of a friend, or I saw you through Facebook or, whatever it is. But yeah. And I think just going back to a little bit of what you were saying is like, we can have the best plan in the world. And I always recommend people plan, but there always needs to be flexibility in there for just life. And then also, I know plenty of people that I've interviewed on the podcast specifically that they didn't have a plan. Like it just they were winging it and it worked out, or they went all in, or whatever it was. And so again, I always come back to like, it's building a business on your own terms and doing that how you want to do it and however that looks. I do always recommend, if you can, to create some kind of a plan, right? Just so you're not, right, because it doesn't always work out. So, you know, kind of thinking through that beforehand, if you have the luxury to pre-plan it, then great. I always recommend that, but not everybody does, and it still works out sometimes. So, yeah.
Right. And it's funny because even like you said, when you have a plan, shit happens and and it changes things. And it's, you know, I was talking with somebody last week. They've seen the podcast, which kind of blows my mind a little bit. It was actually local, and it was this guy who was thinking about starting his own business. And he's like, "Oh, you do the cookbook?" And I was like, "Shut up." It was just like so weird. Right. So that was kind of cool. And he goes, "Well, I heard about you because I was, you know, thinking about becoming an entrepreneur and blah, blah, blah." And I said, "You know, it's not glamorous. And just because I own my own business doesn't mean I have a shit ton of money." People assume that as soon as you're a business owner, you're rich. And, you know, and it's like, no, we're fucking broke, dude. You know, it's like when you're first starting, it's like, no, I don't have $2,000 a month to pay you for this. And I don't, you know, not that we're broke, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, we don't have all, you know, these endless resources. And it's funny that people think that. But so he said, so what, you know, what should I do? And I said, well, you've been listening to the podcast, so you know that you should probably have a plan. I said, you know, are you working now? And he's like, yeah. I said, stay at your job. Stay at your job. And figure it out. Like right now, save your money. Because I didn't have that option. I couldn't like sock money away and say, okay, in a year, like you did, you know, I'm going to do this. It was like, I was unemployed, and it was like, do I collect unemployment or do I start my own business? And who the hell thought I was going to, you know, go back to starting my own business? But it was like, I don't want to work for anybody anymore. So I'm going to start my own business. So it happened to work, but it doesn't always work. And then, you know, we have the roller coaster, right? You have, you know, an up month because the stuff that you sold last month, you know, woohoo, now you're living that. But guess what? Next month you have to go back out and sell. So now you're down. And so it's like this roller coaster thing. And so I was telling him, you want to be able to get to a point that you have this like trajectory that's going smoothly up. And I learned that from my former partner. He's a brilliant business guy. I learned a lot from him, actually. And so he was like, so don't quit my job. I was like, no.
Yeah, sorry.
Don't have to, you know?
Here.
And he was like, okay. And it's funny because, especially when you're young, right? I mean, I know if I was not the age that I was and I started my own job, my own business, I don't know that I would have succeeded. I didn't have the knowledge and I didn't have the patience, because you have to be patient, right? I mean, let's say you have 3 clients, and all of a sudden the 3 clients go away, and now you have to figure out the next 3 clients. You have to have patience and confidence, and like you said, you're going to get imposter syndrome. You're going to get that saboteur that comes in, and they're like, "Yeah, you suck. You can't do this." And it's like, "Wait, but I'm doing it. I'm doing it." "No, you're going to fail." You know, and then you have this like thing going on. For those of you listening, I'm doing like a hand thing. So, so anyway, but it is that, right? And so when we get to the point that we're at and where you're at with what you're doing, building that community through membership, I think is phenomenal. Regé Richmond was on, and she was talking about, you know, memberships that sell. And it seems that memberships done right are building community. And I think that's a beautiful thing, because through community, you have support. And like you said, when you're having a shitty day, you can show up and have a shitty day and get that support, because, you know, we don't always have good days.
Yeah, we don't always have good days. And I think in entrepreneurship, depending on how big you are, how big your company is or whatever, but many people are solopreneurs, right? So maybe you have a couple of people you work with who are on your team. They're like your website person or something like that. But you don't have that typical, office setting to where you like have people you can go and talk to or vent to or whatever it is. And so I think it's really important that we don't silo ourselves and we don't just sit in our own little box here in my own little office all day. And then it just starts to feel really heavy. And that's where we start to feel burnt out and we start to feel like our passion starts to fade a little bit. And it just gets really hard feeling. And it's not easy. So I'll say that it's not easy. But it can be much more enjoyable when we have some people that we just know are there for us and that we can lean on them and they can lean on us. And I think it's a really beautiful collaboration we can have as we build our business, especially when we don't have like teams and teams of people and when we are our own boss. And I think that's the other piece is the accountability. Because it's easy to just not show up and do the things that you need to get done.
I don't want to work today. I'm going to sleep till 10.
Yeah, if nobody is like, kind of on you for that. So the accountability piece is nice too, to just know that like, hey, listen, on last week, I said I was going to do X, Y, and Z. And now I feel a little bit like I really have to do X, Y, and Z because I said I was going to. So there's lots of reasons why I think the community is so important right now.
Yeah. And it's funny because, COVID hit. So before, I've been working from home for a really long time, like a job that I had in Chicago, I traveled a lot. So I ended up working remotely a lot. I would work from, if I was in California, I was working in California. If I flew in late and I didn't want to, go to the office Monday or Tuesday, I could work out of the house. And you have to build a certain discipline, right? You have to not sleep until 10 and 11 because holy shit, I got an email at 8:30 that I didn't respond to, so it was like set the alarm for 7:30, get your ass in the shower, like you're really going to work and work. But what COVID did, which was really interesting for me was, if you couldn't tell, I'm an extrovert. And I like meeting with people. I like, having that human connection, and COVID took that away. And so we were in a smaller house. We bought, I was like, I can't do COVID in this house. I don't know how long we're going to be here. And so we bought a bigger house. And I found this online community. Because I realized it was like, I can't knock on doors to get clients anymore. And I can't knock on doors at all to even talk to anybody at this point. So I started talking on, and this was before we bought the new house, but I started, just responding to these marketing threads. And that's how I started meeting people. That's how I, met Nina, who did the video challenge, which was where I met Steph and Diane and, that whole community. And what Nina did with that was there's lifelong friendships. Steffi and I are going to be friends forever. Diane and I are going to be friends forever. And it was through that. And it was so funny because, I remember I couldn't wait to get up and get on the computer. Because now I'm going to be on LinkedIn. I'm going to be talking about this. And now I'm doing video. And so I'm doing these videos. And now through these videos, people are contacting me. And it's like, oh my God, they want to work with me. But I didn't have my own business at that point. It was my own business, but I had a partner and I had a team. And so, but they wanted to work with me. They didn't, care about the other stuff. So it got a little, whatever. But over the past couple of years, people got to know, and trust me through video and through my presence on LinkedIn. And as bad as COVID was in some ways, I think it opened up a whole new avenue and a whole new network that we're all kind of benefiting from, relationship wise, I guess.
Yeah.
Make a new word up, relationally. But okay, so for current entrepreneurs, seasoned entrepreneurs, what obstacles have you overcome that somebody might be going through now? And I know that's really broad because, but I know that we all end up going through the same thing at some point, right? And it's like, how do we get through it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think this ties in perfectly with my recent post. So I just was sharing this. I think we sometimes feel like we're going to get to this point where everything is just like solid. It's just good. We don't have to worry about anything. And I just think as an entrepreneur and being your own boss and having your own business, it's just not in our nature, I think, to just feel like that, right? It's like, no, things could always be better. We could always be doing more. We could, whatever it is. And it can get really overwhelming feeling. And I know for me, that's something, I won't even say I've overcome it, because I don't know that it's something you overcome, but I think it's something you learn to manage and deal with and find healthy ways to do that with mindfulness practices and all of that. But, just for me, it's a lot of this just negative Nelly, right here on my shoulder that pops in at all hours of the day to just, do her little check-in of like, oh my gosh, this is never going to work, or whatever she feels like telling me. And I can choose to listen to her or not. Right. And I'm choosing not to listen to her, but I hear her, okay, say what you got to say. And then we're going to move on.
Get it out.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And now we're going to move on. Right. So, and it's just doing some deeper dives, I think, is really important. And I feel like now that I'm a few years into my business, there's other things that are starting to come up that, again, maybe it's more mindset wise, that I'm like, oh, okay, I need to address this. I need to work on this. And so I think, just being aware of those thoughts, being aware of that, the worry, the fear-based thinking, the scarcity mindset that comes in, these thoughts of imposter syndrome. Like, I know people that are super successful and they're still like, this is still a thing for them. Yeah. So that actually makes me feel reassured and like, okay, this is just part of the process. Like,
right. If they feel like that.
Yeah. It's like part of the gig. It's cool. And so just acknowledging that. And then I would say one of the other things that I overcame somewhat early on in my first year, and it's this whole like comparison game that we deal with now, because we're inundated and surrounded constantly by social media. And I had some real moments with that where I was like really going down a spiral of thinking like, oh my gosh, look what she's doing. Look what he's doing. Oh, look how good they're doing. And they're doing this and I should be doing that now. And all of this chasing everything. And I just literally had like a moment, like an aha moment where I was like, Liz, what are you doing? Why are you comparing yourself to these people? They've been in business longer than you, or they're not even doing what you want to be doing. And they have their own way of doing it. And so just kind of making that correction and bringing awareness to if we see that happening, because I think that can happen like regardless, right?
Yeah.
If you've been in business for however many years, it's like you still might feel like, oh gosh, look at them. And again, I know people that are very successful and they're doing that. They catch themselves like, oh, I was following so-and-so on social media and they're so much more successful than I am. And it's like, well, there's always going to be people more successful than you. But so, yeah, just kind of catching yourself when we feel like we're doing that whole comparison game on social media right now, because it's not healthy. It's not helpful. And I've had to I've like unfollowed certain, people, or just not paid as much of attention. And it's not because I didn't like them. It's just, I knew my limitations and I was like, okay, I'm going to sit there and scroll through their stuff constantly. And like, right. I don't need to know. I don't need to know everything. So, so there's lots of things I think you can do with that, but that's another one that I think affects a lot of people right now.
Oh yeah. And imposter syndrome is so funny. That's one of the, it's not funny, but that's one of the things that, Scott and I talk about, because he's an executive coach, and actually this pod that I'm in, we bring that up a bunch. Because imposter syndrome is real.
Yeah.
No matter how good we are, no matter how confident we are, it always it's like that, like you said, that little voice that pops up, and it's like, yeah, what are you doing? Do you really know what you're doing? And it's like, yeah, yeah. And then I want to like just flick it, like go, and like flick it off my shoulder. Like what did, Beyonce's, I got 99 problems. You ain't one of them. If that's not Beyonce, sorry, I probably misspoke. I don't know who that was. Kofi,
Jay-Z.
correct me.
I think it's Jay-Z.
Damn it. I knew. See, they're married. So I'm not a rap person, but that's what I kind of get to. And it's like, I've been doing this a really long time, and I've been providing solutions for people, and that's what it is. I'm very solutions based.
Yeah.
If you don't have a problem, I can't, provide the solution, but it's not my job to tell you have a problem. And then I have salespeople telling me, well, then you're not selling it right. Well, then I guess I'm not selling it right, because I'm not going to fucking create a problem for somebody if there isn't one there. They may need it, but they got to get there themselves. I'm not going to navigate them there. I'm going to, point some things out. Yeah. And if they don't get it, you can lead a horse to water. You can't make them drink, right?
Yeah. So, and I feel like we're not in the job of convincing, right? No, like I don't want to convince anybody.
No. And I don't. So I was talking to somebody who, may be doing sales for me. And I said, I don't want anybody to be convinced. And if that's your style, then it's not going to work, because we're here, and I'm like having a really hard time hiring a salesperson, because I have a certain culture, I have a certain mission, and I have a certain vision and a certain style, and I am not going to push my business or my products or anything that I do on somebody. And so that just is like icky to me.
Yeah. And I don't think you have to. I mean, I think we're seeing there's kind of another way to do business, and you're proof of that. And like, again, this goes back to, you can do your business however the hell you want to do your business, and it should be in alignment with you, and it should really feel good and be something that represents you. And that's where we will see results. And you're proof of that. Yeah.
Well, so are you. I mean, we'll have a love fest here, but you are. I mean, and I think that's the cool thing, is that we're not doing things the way people say it should be done. Yeah. We're doing it the way that we feel that it should be done, and we're successful in doing it that way. Which segues into, why, you say, somebody's doing something differently, or they're doing the same thing. Why would somebody want to work with you as opposed to somebody else who's doing what you do?
Yeah, well, I guess, what I hear from a lot of my clients, and I really appreciate this, but they feel, after I've talked with them, or we've had a session or a couple of sessions, they usually will say like, oh my gosh, I feel so much more clear. And that was really simple, right? So I like to keep things simple. I don't think things need to be overly complicated. I think simplicity is just a beautiful thing when it comes to business, and it comes to life and all of that. And so I really like to keep things like pretty simple and effective, right? So it can be simple and effective. And so, that's kind of my jam, is like helping people to really sort through all the thoughts and ideas that we have going on in this beautiful, powerful brain. As entrepreneurs, right? I call it entrepreneurial brain. You know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're an entrepreneur. And having somebody as a sounding board, and also having somebody who can just help you to sort through it all and organize it and say, these are the things to focus on. These maybe let's set aside. And for me, what I really love is just creating this kind of safe container for people to show up as they are, where they are, and to have their own transformations, to have their own growth, to have their own revelations. I'm not going to do it for you, right? Like you can do all this on your own. It's just helpful to have somebody to help walk you through that, hold your hand a little bit, maybe ask certain questions that get you to think in a different way so that you come to your own conclusions, you come to your own solutions. And then, all right, now what do we do with all that? Let's get a plan in place and let's make shit happen, right? That's what my focus is.
Right. And I love that. And I tell people, we meet you where you are.
Yeah.
Right. We don't make you come to where we are. Excuse me. Right. Yeah. If you're here, then you're here. Yeah. And we're going to meet you here. We're not going to make you come up here because you're not ready to come up here. If you're here for a reason. So we're going to meet you here, and then we're going to help you get there. But it takes time, right? And, and that's what I meant when I was like, people are like, well, then you're not selling it right. It's like, no, I don't want to. If somebody is here and that's where they're at, I can't push them further. They have to be here, figure their shit out, and I'll help you figure your shit out. And then we'll get to the next level, and then we'll, grow from there. But, and I think that's just so important, because there are so many people out there right now that I feel are being preyed on. Yeah. And I hate to say it, but it's true. It's like, well, we're going to have a meeting, but I'm not going to sell you. And then you meet, and then they sell you. And it's like, what the hell is this even? Yeah. That's not what, and then you're in a position where it's like, well, shit, now I have to write you an email saying, hey, I really appreciate it, but I'm not going to be I'm not interested or whatever. Yeah. And I don't do that. Like anytime I meet with somebody, I meet with them and we have a conversation. And if they want to use my services, they'll bring it up. In a first meeting, if they want to have a second meeting and then discuss business, then that's when I discuss business. But in the first introductory meeting, I don't sell. I don't sell. That's not what I'm there for. I'm there to get to know, like, and trust somebody, and get them to know, like, and trust me. So, so I get it. So one of the other things that I like about your collective is you have experts in different fields speak, right? So you have like a mindfulness person, you have like a wellness person, you have, because you do deal with like body, mind, and soul, and with the business. So I love that. So what made you think of that? Because that I think is super unique.
Yeah. It is. I agree. So it actually, this whole idea of the collective came about because as a business coach myself, and I was working one-on-one with my clients, and it's typically a 3-month program. And at the end of the 3-month program, there might be some things that they still wanted to work on, like health, right? A lot of people, as entrepreneurs, they still have other goals they want to work on. It's not just about their business, because as I said, I think our business is us. So maybe they wanted to work on health, or maybe they wanted to get really dialed in their social media strategy. Or maybe there was this kind of like, oh, this goes way deeper. Like I need some mindset work. And so my thought was, gosh, it would be really great for me to have a place to send them that wasn't piecemealed out. It wasn't like, oh, go to this coach and then go to that coach. And none of these coaches are talking. None of them are communicating. They might be saying different things. And so I really wanted to have one place to send them at a really affordable price that they could, sustain. They could be in it for a year or 2 years. And so I just started putting this group together, and it just happened very organically, where the right people showed up when I needed them to. So my social media coach is amazing. She's all about, I want to help women make money. And like, that's her focus through social media. Our mindset coach, I met her just one day. I happened to be on another networking Zoom, and it was the one day she showed up as well. Like, we had never been on this before, and I don't think we've been on it since. And I was looking for a mindset person, like really was solid with mindset, and she was there, and I said, oh my gosh, I love her. Like, I need to talk with her. I wonder if she would want to be part of this with me. And within like 2 minutes, she said, of us talking, she was already like, yes, I want to be part of this. And then the health side of it, we have just an amazing health and healthy habits coach. So it brings all that together, and then you can take or leave whatever it is you need or don't need. Like, not everybody needs all of it. But if you want to work, even just social media or just business coaching or just mindset, it's a phenomenal program to be part of just for that. And then again, you get the community side of it. But yeah, that's how it started. I really just was like, I want to create this kind of next level for people to still be able to work with me in some regard, but then get these other pieces in a way that I know they're getting what they need. I'm not just like, go sign up for someone else's program that I've never taken. It helped me to still be able to be like a part of their life and a part of their journey, and then know that across us coaches, we are communicating. We're like, what are you saying? And what are you're like, let's make sure we're all on the same page with this stuff. So it's a really nice kind of comprehensive experience for the members.
Cool. Yeah. And I love that, because I know I was talking to, Steph, and I tell her, she's like, she was on, she'll be on, next week. She'll be our guest. Yeah. We recorded a couple of weeks ago, but I call her the vegan Joanna Gaines, because she totally can be, right? I mean, and I told her, it was so funny because so we're watching the Joanna Gaines, and I always forget the name of it, something table. Anyway, so Joanna always eats her food, and Stephanie never ate her food. So I said to her, we were just like having a, because we Zoom, because we're really good friends, and we just, Zoom and catch up and everything. I'm like, you need to eat your food. And actually Heather said it to me. She's like, Steffi needs to eat her food. I'm like, I know. So I told her, and I said, you're going to be the vegan Joanna Gaines. You need to start eating your damn food. So it was like 2 weeks after I said that, she did her Instagram live, or her Instagram, and she ate what she made. And I was like, yes. And she goes, I did that for you. She said, I knew you were going to, so now she's starting to, I think, eat her food more. But, and she's in your collective, and, Diane Titterton, who's my mindfulness coach.
They're so amazing.
Oh, she is just, she, I've never thrown my phone again in 2 years. Right. So, so she's helped get me to a place that, that I control what pisses me off and for how long it pisses me off. And I control, for the most part, my moods. I need to meditate more. So that's something that I'm working on. But my mindfulness piece, as far as being able to get Zen in a minute, I mean, I can. Yeah. So that's been amazing for me. And it's been amazing for me in business. Yeah. Because it helps me, I have people reel me in, especially when I started, heading Gas Stove again. It was like, I have all these things that I can be doing, because I have all these services that I can offer, and I have all these people and all these vendors that, anything you need, whether it's marketing or not, I can probably, find the person and provide for you. So I got really overwhelmed. And then Amy Burks, who's in this group, the Dames that I'm in, was like, she's like, breathe. You don't need to do all the things now. And she was 100% right. And she literally talked me off the ledge, because I was just like, crazy about it. But holy crap, it's an hour. See, it's an hour already. It goes so fast.
It goes so fast.
Gosh, we need to talk, not just, this thing for sure. Okay. So thank you for coming back and doing this again, because I know the first one got all screwed up, and I was like, oh no. So I appreciate your time, and I love what you're doing. I think, with the collective, and also the Outdoor Entrepreneur, I think that, I know it's still a work in progress, but I think that it's an amazing concept, and you're doing it right. I always say, we're building the plane while we're flying it. And there's nothing wrong with that, because you have to figure stuff out, right, as you're doing it, and especially when it's something new. So, so I know we've been scrolling the LinkedIn thing, but what about Facebook? I know you have different groups on Facebook, and so I know the Outdoor Entrepreneur is the podcast. So listen to that and look for that everywhere that podcasts are. What about Facebook and Instagram?
Yep.
Like, where are you?
Facebook and Instagram, Liz Landeen on both of those. And then if you're a woman entrepreneur, on Instagram, we have the Elevated Entrepreneur Collective. So those are the key ones.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Oh, this has been so fun. Thank you.
Here. I know. I love talking to you. And so, of course, I'm going to ask the last question that I ask everybody. And here we go. What's the one thing that lights your fire? Like, what fires you up? And it could be personal. It could be business. It's, whatever. Like, what sets Liz?
Yeah.
What lights you up?
Yeah. So what lights me up? Really, it's something I think of every day, and it's kind of a little motto of mine, but it's live an inspired life. And that's really what I'm trying my best to do. It doesn't always work every day, but it lights me up when I think about, okay, what is inspiring to me? What do I find interesting? What am I curious about? Where do I feel most creative, right? And then really just focusing on those things and trying to live that life. So I always say, dream it, live it. So I don't want to just dream about things, and I don't want people to just dream about them. I want you to start there, but then I want us to live it. And for me, that's what really lights me up, is when I can take a dream, take a thought, take an idea, and then really move it forward and do it. But beyond doing it is to really be it, right? To live that. And so that's what lights me up, is when I am in that flow state, when I am living the life that I really want to be living. And then when I can help others do that, or just seeing other people. I love when I just see people that are like, just so enthusiastic about life, and they're just out there living their own inspired life. And that shit lights me up. So I love it.
Well, there you go. Okay, folks. So you don't dream it, live it.
Yes.
And I want to thank everybody once again for tuning in and listening. And if you're watching, yay, you sat here and sat down for over an hour and watched this video. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support. Please download, subscribe, leave comments. If there's something that you found inspirational, let us know. But for now, I'm going to sign off. Iris Goldfeder for the Cookbook, and go out and find what lights your fire. Bye, everyone.